countries in West Africa. Travelers are no doubt wondering whether heading to Africa is safe. Tour companies are also wondering how their businesses will be affected by the outbreak. Now, to talk more on the global impact of Ebola in tourism, we are now joined by the CEO of South African Tourism, Thulani Nzima. Good morning to you, Squire, and welcome to AM.
Good morning, Elvis. Good morning, Squire.
Let's take a look at tourism in South Africa. Let's first focus on Africa. Is it a concern for the African continent?
It is a concern for the African continent, and the concerns are based on the perceptions that Africa is actually a country rather than Africa being a continent. And people tend to think that when something happens in Nairobi, it's just a few hours drive and you're out there. So it is a concern for all of us because there's also this notion that we are unable to control the spread of this virus.
Yes. Now, you so rightly put it and succinctly put it that, I mean, Africa is being perceived as one big country, but it's not. I mean, because we don't even share borders with Liberia or West African countries for that matter. But are you saying that there's skewed perceptions about our geographic location in South Africa for that matter?
Well, I think there are people out there, and this is reality, who tend to think that when you visit Africa, you are visiting a country. And the distance between Johannesburg and Morocco is that close. And you see this when they put together the itineraries, that they would like to see a few things in South Africa and quickly see something else in those countries. It's a good thing from a packaging point of view, but when you have issues such as Ebola, the contagious diseases of this nature, we should worry about it because indeed the truth is South Africa is Ebola free, and we have had a few scare moments, but they turned out to be false alarms.
Now, a lot of tourists have cancelled their trips to most African countries because of the Ebola outbreak in West Africa, for that matter. Can you estimate the loss of tourism revenue as a result of these cancellations?
It's too early now, Elvis, but we are busy collating numbers to see exactly what will be the extent of the cancellations. But also we are looking at reinstating some of the cancelled trips. Because you see, if a trip was supposed to happen last week and it has been cancelled as an immediate reaction to this, that one is lost. Yes. But there may well be tours which were supposed to happen in November, October. Those can still be reinstated. So before we start raising alarms about this, we want to be a little bit more reasonable about it. We want to be calm and collect stats. We will soon be sharing these numbers. From a South African tourism point of view, we are very comfortable to do that because after all, this is our concern as a country. It's not just South African tourism.
From your perspective, South African tourism, are you marketing our country as a safe destination that is nowhere near the Ebola-affected areas?
For as long as the information that is coming from the World Health Organization and the information that is coming from our own National Department of Health and the Center for Communicable Diseases is telling us that South Africa is Ebola-free, we are confident that we can sell our country as an Ebola-free destination. We have no position as South African tourism other than what is informed by the World Health Organization and our own Department of Health and Communication. For that matter, we have made sure that the information that we are communicating today and every day is not an opinion of South African tourism, but a regurgitation, if you like, simply to give assurance from the Department of Health, and we'll continue to do so.
But this is not the first time that Africa has an Ebola outbreak. We had previous ones. But how was tourism business affected previously, if any? Was the tourism industry affected?
I wouldn't know in terms of numbers, but I would like to equate the Ebola scare to the 9/11. When incidents of that nature happen in the aviation industry, unfortunately, it does affect everybody. The damage is calculated much later because you always have a lag in terms of these events happening. Yes, in the past when we had an Ebola scare in Africa as a whole, for some good reason, there was confidence that the spread can be contained. People took time to understand how in fact, it passes from one person to the other. It's the same thing now, but I don't know why this heightened tension about it, and suddenly they're thinking that Africa is not in control.
But do you agree with people, though, that there's definitely an impact, or Ebola had an impact on tourism in Africa and in South Africa?
I agree. Any contagious disease will have an impact anywhere in the world, whether it was happening in Asia or it was happening in America. It would have been the same thing. But we will also take a cue from them. If they tell us that everything is under control and they give us specific areas which are heavily affected, as in the case of Africa, is the West African parts of Africa that are affected. when they give us that kind of assurance, we will continue to believe them and travel. We expect them to do the same when it happens to Africa.
From South African tourism, is there perhaps an advisory to foreigners or even South Africans wanting to travel on the continent?
No, South African tourism will never do that. Like I indicated, we are not the custodians of health issues in the country. We are the consumer of information and sharing that with our industry and giving them assurance. The people who cancelled trips coming to South Africa were not informed by communication from South African tourism. They made their own decisions. Similarly, South Africans wanting to travel to other parts of the African continent where they do business, they will do so because it's necessary for them, and they've also understood how to manage the health risks that may be imminent out there. It is not a South African tourism position. Ours is to say, if we are guided by WHO, we are guided by our own National Department of Health, and the national carrier, South African Airways, still flies to various parts of Africa. Therefore, there is no travel warning around those countries.
But surely it's just general information sharing with potential travelers leaving from South Africa.
It is about equipping them with knowledge. It is equipping them with knowledge that is disseminated to us by experts, health experts, that is in this case. It is not what South African tourism may want to say to people and say, be careful of this and that. No, we wouldn't want to go there.
What is your message to potential travelers there out there, Mr. Nzima, to come to South Africa and experience all this wonders that we have in this country instead of being worried about an Ebola scare?
I would say, please go ahead and believe what the World Health Organization is saying. The World Health Organization is a unit of the United Nations. It's much bigger than just this Department of Health in South Africa. But also understand how this disease is communicated and can be contagious to you. It doesn't affect you because you have seen me, because you have met me. It affects me because we have exchanged fluids of some sort. So the communication that stands at the moment is that South Africa is Ebola-free, and we as South African tourism and the industry colleagues that we have believe that. We have no other way of looking at this, otherwise it will be very anecdotal and dangerous information that we'll be communicating there. Come enjoy South Africa. It is definitely Ebola-free.
And when they do come here, what can they enjoy?
Of course, plenty of scenic beauty that this country has always been known for. Our safari experiences, always Safari Plus. We also bring additional things such as heritage and culture, lifestyle, and our wines. We continue to be a value for money destination. We continue to offer a variety of tourist experiences that are not easily matched anywhere around the world. And the warmth of our people, you cannot get that anywhere in the world. This is the one thing that keeps giving this country a competitive edge. People have gone beyond opulence when they go on holiday. They want authentic experiences. And a country like South Africa that has warm people offers just that. And you go back home, you're not going to be gloating about the pictures you've taken with the rhinos or the elephants. You'll talk about the experiences you have had with Elvis. That's exactly what this country is offering.
And this is the only country, I say to some Americans, where you can experience sea, sun, wildlife, mountains, and even ski in the Lesotho Mountains. Only country
exactly
in the world.
Indeed. Well, even though sometimes it's country
in country.
Country and country.
Mr. Nzima, thank you so much for joining us here.
So
that was the CEO of South African Tourism, Thulani Nzima.